Do you have self-awareness? And I ask you that because in today's episode, we dive deep into many subjects, of which we identify some of the common pitfalls in business. And one of the main elements that stops humans, whether male or female, from achieving their goals is self-awareness. In fact, we dive into many subjects, everything from patriotism to World War II veterans coming back, to the state of men in the United States and what that looks like. And you will get a ton out of this conversation. You will start to understand how to develop yourself, the key concepts you need to be successful both in work and life. And you will really enjoy this conversation with our guest, James Quigley. And before we get into the show, I just want to take a second to connect and really just have an open share. I think having an opportunity to share with other individuals is incredibly vital to your well-being. In fact, I know it's vital to your well-being because when we feel connected to other individuals and we feel open to share what is going on in our hearts and our minds and in our life, we feel open and receptive. We feel heard, we feel seen, and it encourages us to give ourselves that opportunity to let go of whatever we're holding on to. It's been an incredible year. I've had probably one of the best years of my life from a personal perspective relative to my vocation, my purpose, my passion, laying out the Unbreakable Man as a company and really making it a profitable company. It's been incredible. And stepping into 2022, I had no idea what that year was going to be like for me. And I had a general idea. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. But looking back on it and doing a year in review was, my goodness, I can't even describe how incredible it really was to see the transformations that we've had with some of the guys that have come through our program and to see their lives fully transformed. I mean, guys are still texting me from the program and, everything from generating $3 million in revenue in their company to getting acting gigs. It's been absolutely incredible all along the way. And this is something that I always preach when I'm teaching and coaching, is that there is no such thing as good or bad. It all just is. And even on a personal side, in my personal life, my wife was having a lot of health issues. We couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And we realized there was mold in our house. And we have since moved out of that location because I was starting to experience symptoms. And if you've ever been exposed to mold, you know that it is a nasty thing. It really gets into the cracks and crevices of every cell of your body. And so we had to physically step out. For a while, we were living out of Airbnbs because we didn't really know what was going on. We knew it was mold, but we didn't know how bad it was. And eventually we figured out that it was pretty bad. We're still waiting on data to come back to go through a full renovation, but we know that it's going to be probably a process over the course of the year to completely gut the house because it was so exposed with mold that we have to get rid of everything. We have to get rid of all of our personal possessions that are porous, that can't fit in a washing machine. So that includes beds and couches. So we are getting rid of all of that stuff. And kind of all along the way, my wife was still having symptoms even after we moved out. What we found out after she did a bioresonance DNA test is that she had undiagnosed Lyme's disease, which then was exacerbated by the mold. So she was having all these crazy symptoms. And it's been a complete whirlwind. It's been, in one way, just this most magical, amazing. My vocation has been taking off. And on the other side, it's been like very uncertain, a lot of chaos. What's going on? What's happening? Not a lot of answers, trying to figure out what's going on with my wife. But ultimately, she is doing a lot better. We have a very clear idea now that we understand that it is Lyme's disease. Couple that with mold exposure. It's been incredible. And I say the word incredible because I see everything as an opportunity to teach. And I know that the type of individual that you are, you feel the same way, that life brings you opportunities to grow your soul and give you character development. And that's what these opportunities are for us. So I just wanted to share that. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I'm very grateful for you. And I'm very grateful that, you take the time out of your day to consider that this podcast is part of your life. So if you find that this has been helpful, this has been supportive to your life, consider sharing it with somebody else so that more men can get the outlet that they're looking for and get the answers that they're looking for. Because I feel like men need men. And that is my mission on this planet, is to help men get the support and the structure they need to not only be the man they want to be, but live the life they want to live. And that's what the Brotherhood and the Unbreakable Man is doing. And so if you are interested in joining the Unbreakable Man Brotherhood, this online container that is an incredible space for men to come together, to be seen, supported, to give the incentive, the accountability, and hold each other to that standard, then check out the Unbreakable Man online. You can go to the website or click the description. There should be a link in there for you to click and sign up for the Unbreakable Man Brotherhood. We are going to launch this thing. We are still technically in beta, but it is going to launch in the next 2 weeks. I'm super pumped. It's going to be incredible. So I'm very excited to see you guys in there. And again, thank you. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to give us a review so that more people can find it. And as always, enjoy the show. What is up, beautiful humans? This is Dr. Dave Cahotis. I am on a mission to forge strong, heart-centered, and purpose-driven men. And this podcast is here to help you stop managing your problems and start breaking free of stress, limiting beliefs, and excuses that stop you from executing at your fullest potential, living with passion, and being the man you want to be. So let's go. James, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, brother, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
It's an honor to have you. We were actually just chatting about the book you were just reading recently, Breathe by Rickson and Gracie, actually.
Right here, man.
We're using it as a coaster. And that's actually a great place to start, because I met you actually at an event. Well, there was a lot of breath work involved. It wasn't a breath work specific event, right, but that was like one of the first experiences we had together was through breath work.
Yeah.
And so what intrigues you about breath work? Talk to me about that.
It quiets me. It really relaxes me. It's given me an opportunity to just kind of like reset. All right. So my whole life I've struggled with learning comprehension issues and attention and focus issues. So those obstacles it's always like, feel like you're playing life with one arm behind your back.
Yeah.
So breath work has been an incredible help to kind of like reset everything for me.
As a kid, were you diagnosed with focus disorder or
No.
ADD, ADHD?
So my mom had me tested. I recently discovered this. My mom had me tested like in the second grade.
Yeah.
And they said I would have issues. Well, I could have issues.
Yeah.
But I always tested really well. But it was in my writing where they can tell that there was a problem. So it would be, I would have run-on sentences.
Yeah.
Even though I knew it, I can verbalize they, there, or there. But when it came to writing, I would make the mistake.
Yeah.
Also, there were times where I would start the word from right to left.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I've done that with letters or numbers before.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're kind of like a little bit flipped. Like every once in a while, like my S will be like, kind of like backwards. But
yeah, like a 5.
Yeah.
Or an 8.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But it's true. Yeah, you could just flip an 8 anywhere you want. But where I've noticed it is when I'm doing work and I'll call it self-diagnosed ADD.
Yeah.
We're just high dopamine dominant individuals. Things like we like CrossFit, we like let's go hard, we get sales was always really fun for me, especially as a kid. I was like, yes, like the dopamine hips, where it's a gift and a curse because it gives you high level thought, right? Like very high level insight. You understand things, you understand connection between all things. But where it does not give us benefit in, I guess, this society is like sitting down at a computer or at a desk and like getting work done. Yeah. So you're mentioning that you had, these focus issues. How have you worked through it? Obviously you've done breath work, but how have you gotten through, some of the blocks, in your life?
it's just getting self-aware. Like for years, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize what it was. Just like anyone else. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm lazy or I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I have focus issues, right? And maybe it's exasperated by the cell phones or whatever. So I didn't know per se. When I started to realize it, it was like, wow, it was a weight lifted off my chest because I realized I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I'm not lazy.
Right.
There's obviously some issues there. But through my life, what has always helped was physical movement.
Yeah.
And my mom said that from very beginning, that sports was kind of like what helped me, and reading. So when she realized that I was going to have that potentially have some learning issues or comprehension issues, she immediately made me read. Like, I mean, she gave me books. As a kid, I was reading like Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading really advanced books for my age. And that's why I love reading.
Yeah.
So that probably saved my butt a lot. But it's also realizing, where can I be strong at?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be strong sitting down behind a computer.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. And even coaching, and I've been a coach for 20 plus years, even coaching probably wasn't the best ideal role for me.
Yeah.
Because coaching takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
It takes research. It takes listening. It requires, so coaching helped me develop those things, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great. But could I have been more successful doing sales?
Yeah.
Could I have been more, and I've always was.
Yeah.
So it was understanding, well, where can I truly be successful? Where can I really be strong at?
Yeah. I noticed that too with a lot of things, you know, so we all have like a certain skill set, you know, like I don't have the build to be a figure skater, or, you know, it's like,
really?
Yeah. You know, I just don't, I'm not as nimble as those, or, you know, whatever, you kind of get the point. But what's funny about that is we all have a certain skill set. I was thinking about Tom Brady the other day. He wasn't the most athletic guy. And he's even said this. He's like, you know, I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the most athletic, but I knew what my skill set was, and I outworked everybody in that skill set, and then made him very successful. And so, you know, I think about that too. And how you brought up movement, that was something very similar for me when I was overcoming, I wouldn't even call it focus disorder. It was more like, I just wanted the end result now. Like I just wanted to get there. I would even read alouds. I remember in third grade would frustrate the hell out of me, because I would want to be at the end of the sentence, at the beginning of the sentence. I'd be like, I just want to be at the end of it. Like, I already know what this book is saying. Like, why do I need to read this book? You know, like, kind of like, okay, like, let's get to the end. Let's go to you figured
it out already.
Yeah, he's like, I figured it out. Let's go. Let's go to the next thing, next thing. And, you know, for me, it was, I got into wrestling early in my life. And it was so physically grueling that it would like beat me down physically, that I would actually be able to like calm and like focus.
Exactly.
And then have that. Do you have any other practices that you like when it comes to focus, or like just daily stuff?
It's just daily. It's just keeping a schedule, being very disciplined in that. Discipline, when you have attention and focus issues and you have learning comprehension issues, discipline can be really hard.
Yeah.
But it's transferable. So if I can build discipline going to the gym, if I can build discipline taking a cold shower every day, if I can build discipline with these small little things, it can transfer. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, what can I stack together in my schedule that it can allow me to have these discipline in certain areas? So my schedule is like the key to my success. If I'm off of it, then things can get derailed.
Yeah.
Right. But now that I know what's the cause of it, I have more grace for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not beating myself up anymore.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that's the first step, is like having grace for thine self. It's I would say it's self-awareness, having that, and then recognizing. But let's talk about schedule. I think that's such a huge thing for people, because I know I'm kind of like, let's go on a whim. But like I do schedule certain things, but then when it comes down to other things, I'm like, I'll just kind of go with the flow a little bit more here and there. But I do know when I am hyper disciplined, it always brings results. And then I get the result and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like I'm in the result, like, and it's almost like that was easy, like it's sort of this weird backwards way of thinking about it. It's like, oh, that was easy. Like, why do I need to do that again? But then I'll stop doing the said action, and then I'll not get the result, and I'll be like frustrated that I'm not getting the result. Mm-hmm. So talk me through how do you schedule your day? Do you use like a specific calendar? Like, what will you do to?
Yeah. So that's the one thing. If you have attention issues, if you struggle with planning and preparing, you struggle to see a week in advance or knowing the goals and being able to work yourself backwards. It doesn't matter the planner that you get.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like a lot of people will switch planners, they'll switch tech from writing down to technology. So it really doesn't matter. What really matters most is starting small and growing tall with it, is the way I say it. So it was also seeing it.
Yeah.
Like being able to see it and being able to make it work for me.
Yeah.
When I'm prepared, when I'm organized, when I'm doing all the right things for myself, when I'm not drinking, when I'm eating good, I'm happier. I'm a happier version of myself. Yeah. Right. And I struggled for a long time with mental health issues. So having a schedule, having all of these things in place, being very disciplined actually provides me joy. What I started to do, and I pulled it from different places and different people. Yeah. Is my non-negotiables. That's where I start. Right. So what I'll do is.
What's a non-negotiable?
So it is my workout time. It is my breath work time. Yeah. It is my journal time. Yeah. It is a date night, right? It is all the things that we often put last. Yeah. And so I put those things first, and I'll look at the macro, right? I'll look at my 90-day goals and all the things that I want to do. And then I'll break it down into the micro per week.
I like that.
So it's Sunday morning, right? And I'm like, okay, looking forward for 7 days. What are all the things that I want to do this week? Yeah. What am I, And so those will go first. And I write it all down first. Like I'm very I like to write. Second thing is then, okay, where are my boundaries? What time am I waking up? What time am I going to bed? Yes. What time am I starting work? What time am I ending work? Yes. What days am I taking off? Yes. What days am I working? Something that I recently put in was even the times where I take my dog out. Yeah. So I create now the boundaries, right? Where's everything going, right? So I have this structure wall for myself. Yeah. And if you struggle with attention issues, you struggle with planning issues, you need walls. Yes. You need boundaries. Agreed. Or else I'm all over the place, right? Yeah. And I'm living very reactively, which then doesn't do well for my mental health. Yeah. So once I have my boundaries up, then I kind of theme out my days. Yeah. So I theme out my days. So I know Mondays are going to be more focused on administrative stuff. Okay. So I'll put admin. Yeah. Tuesdays are going to be focused more on coaching calls and consulting calls and sales calls and things like that. Yeah. So Tuesdays and Thursdays will kind of be reflective of one another. Mondays and Wednesdays will kind of be reflective of one another. Yeah. And Fridays are my financial days. Okay. Days where I don't take any calls. I don't do anything. I'm just straight up working on my finances. Yeah. So I theme out my days to kind of figure out what works best for me.
I like that, because what it does is you're right. It's it sets the container of this is what you're going to focus on today. And then that way each day you're going to have a new, sort of a new focus. If you were going to work on let's say a project, let's say you're going to write a book, right? As an example, would you still give yourself a little bit of a time each day to work on that? Or would you say, nope, the book is going to be for 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, I'm only going to work on the book? Or would you do 1 day per week, or how would you?
I play around with stuff. Yeah. To know what's going to feel good. Yeah. I have to. Yeah. I think that's the key is because I tried the rigid stuff. Yeah. I tried being rigid, and it's oh, this doesn't work after a week. Yeah. I'm bored now. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll see what feels good. Does this feel good to me to do 20 minutes daily? Or does it feel good for me to spend 2 hours on it 1 day a week? Yes. Right. Yeah, so I kind of, I'll play around. I'll experiment. And even with the themes, I allow flexibility in there. So I may structure it, but I give myself 80-20.
I like that. Actually, I'll do the same thing. And I've played around with so many different options, where the super rigid, super disciplined, and you kind of get just broken down by it, almost you kind of almost I remember I had this organization system. I read a book called Get Things Done, and David Allen's book. It was a really good book, and it's very good for organization, and then having I found myself just doing the system, but not actually like getting the result from the system, which is
kind of robotic.
Exactly. It just felt so robotic. And I just like kept, because he has a very like particular way of like running your inbox and all like the stuff of life. And it, in a way it is good, but in a way it was so like so focused that I was like, it's so rigid. But I like how you're able to play and kind of like mold. And I think that's very poignant, because oftentimes we can get into, whether we're listening to, let's say, a podcast or a coach or reading a book, we'll get into these kind of like frameworks, these guide rails, and we kind of get stuck in there. It's like, this is the end all be all, but ultimately at the end of the day, there is no end all be all.
No, that's why you got to experiment.
Yeah.
You got to experiment to see what works best. So I've taken tools from everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And then I experiment.
Yeah.
And week to week, it changes for me so that I can still, so the brain still wants to have that freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Like we get bored really quickly with things, with structure. So this is how I play that little game with myself.
Yeah.
So like I may switch it up this week versus last week, but at the end of the day, I'm always still looking at the macro. Like, where am I going?
Yeah.
Where is this taking me to? Where is this leading me?
Yeah.
So that every day I look at my goals. Every day I look at my values. Every day I look at what is my definition of success. And then last but not least in my schedule is the appointments. Right? The actual work stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We often put those things first.
Yes.
Right? So when we say build your life around your business, we're kind of doing the other way. We should be building our business around our life.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But we end up doing it the other way.
Yes.
Right? We end up looking, when am I working? And then it's like, okay, well, there's some free time. I'm going to spend that free time with the kids and the family. Then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And it's like, wait a minute. Is that really what we want to be doing with our life?
Yeah.
And so doing it the opposite way allows me for more fulfillment, allows me more time to focus on what makes me happy, what brings me joy.
Yeah.
And I don't look at work as a chore.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now it's life.
Yeah.
Now it's part of it.
It's exactly. And I like it, and I'm focused on it, and I can actually attack it.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, oh, one more hour.
Yeah.
That's the worst place to be.
It is. It's that place of quiet desperation, that place of like sort of unconscious. And there is a lot to unpack even in that. Is sometimes we can get into these realms where we feel like we have to do something, we have to be something, we have to, do something for someone else. I was there for many, many, many years thinking that I had to provide something specific for my wife in order to receive that love back. And then got to the point of like, I couldn't physically provide all that I was demanding of, but that I perceived. And ultimately it caused this intense breakdown in my own system, led me into mental health issues and depression and anxiety and panic attacks and all these. And then once I let go of all that stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
But how many men never get there?
Right. Like they're still holding on. They're still holding on to and not to say that that's wrong, but it's there's a level of sort of this, if there's like this yearning inside of you for like something a little bit more, listen to that voice, that's what I would say.
Unfortunately, that's where many men get sick.
Yeah.
They get heart issues, heart diseases.
Absolutely.
And they carry that with them till they're great. Unfortunately, we've seen it. I think our generation is obviously more aware of it.
Yeah.
But when you talk, I talk to my father, I talk to guys, his age or slightly younger, and they know something's up.
Yeah.
When you get older, you become way more self-aware, way more, you realize a lot of things, but now are you doing something with that information, or are you allowing it to like, woe is me, all the choices I made? And so I think now we're in a unique position that we're having these conversations.
Yeah.
Because the men before us, they didn't give themselves space to do so.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that similar with my grandfather's generation coming back from World War II. And, they created this suburban boom in the 50s. And then there was like, kind of like the evolution in the 60s, kind of this free love motion. And then it kind of like all kind of collapsed back onto itself in the 80s. It was like, let's go back to productivity and going
make that money.
Exactly. Make that money, like 80s and 90s. It was a huge economic boom in the United States.
Wow.
And we got to early 2000s. And, for me personally, in my experience, I went to war and lived that. And we were a country at war pretty much through almost the entire early 2000s. And then we hit, 2010s and now it's like a little bit of like rumbles. It was like kind of everything's fine. Don't look around. Everything's fine, and here we are in 2021 now. And it's like a whole different game. It's a whole different ball game. We're having these conversations. And
did you feel that call after 9/11?
To sign up for the military?
Yeah,
I did. I had already signed up in 2000. Okay. Right. So I signed up in December. I was already in it. I had already gone to basic training and I signed up for the college money. I'll be honest. It was like, it was a little bit of patriotism. One of my, probably the top value for me is freedom. And I think freedom is, and that shows up in many ways, right? It could be freedom of movement, freedom of, could be financial freedom, could be just like freedom of flow. That's why I like physical movement. That's why I like expression. Yeah. I think the ability to express yourself freely, I think, is very, very vital. And I had already signed up in the military in 2000, and I was like, we haven't been at war, and since Desert Storm, it's peacetime, it's all good. Well, apparently I didn't read the history books because every 17 years there is a conflict, and we were at year 18 at that point because we had already come out of Desert Storm. And so we went right back into conflict. So we're in a relative peacetime. I know it's like a lot of upheaval, right, in the world, in the United States, about just certain political issues and all these different issues. But, you'll see in the next, let's say we pulled out of Iraq, generally Iraq and Afghanistan in 2020, we'll probably see as a country another conflict if we continue to play the same cycle. That's the thing. We don't have to keep playing the same cycle. But 2038 is usually...
Unless Putin says differently. Yeah, China right. says differently, because Russia and China are like, hey, we haven't been to war in a while.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's like we've been sitting around. We're kind of bored. It's just it's really funny. So let's kind of go back to we were kind of chatting about productivity. Actually, where I want to take us is kind of going back to self-awareness, and I think this is really vital. When you were a child and you were kind of doing your thing and you kind of knew you had certain skills and you had certain things that were holding you back, what led you down the path? I know it's a pretty broad question, but what led you down the path that you are on today?
My own failures, pain, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Kind of looking at my life, right? And realizing I'm about to be 40. This is about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I wasn't where I wanted to be in life.
Where do you want to be?
Well, at that point, I left my life in New York.
Okay.
I moved here, and we came here to open up gyms, and we came here to open up like a massive project. Right? We had a great team, we had a good investor, and that was falling apart. Physically, I was falling apart. Yeah. I was bulking.
Yeah.
Right. You know what that means, right? So you're bulking. So it's like, oh yeah, I can eat this cheeseburger. Yeah, right. Like, oh yeah, get this cookie. I'm bulking. Yeah, right. Yeah. And so lifting heavy, not eating really healthy, but eating a lot of food. And I'm about to be 40.
Yeah.
So my body started breaking down. And I never addressed my ego issues. I never addressed my mental health issues. I never addressed any of my childhood traumas at this point.
Yeah.
I did some personal development work, right? I was a big Tony Robbins guy. But it was almost like toxic positivity, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
So
can we just riff on what toxic positivity is?
Yeah. So toxic positivity is it's always all good.
Oh, yeah.
It's always all good. No. It's always all good. It's always thinking that it's not realizing what's truth. And just sitting with truth.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to feel, you don't have to be negative about it. But it could just be truth, and you can just sit at it, and you can detach from it, and just let's put that on the table. Let's look at that from all angles.
Yeah. Like my relationship is like this. My body is like this. My blood work is like this. My finances are like this.
It's It's putting the bad stuff aside, right?
Yeah.
And only looking at the good stuff, which is healthy too. You need to do that. But it's not taking a look at what's actually causing the issues.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I was able to do that for a long time.
Yeah.
I was able to really do that. And so it came to a head when I was working for an event company, and this event company owed all the people money. It owed all the winners money. It owed staff money, and it owed me money. And everyone was calling me looking for the money. Right. So everyone thought, because I was the head guy, right? But I was just the face. I was just the guy who I ran the day to day, but I didn't control the money. And so I have all this pressure, and people that I respect, people that I look up to, that I brought in, they're owed money, right? People who, this is my reputation. And then I'm owed money. So I don't have money. Right. Now my bills, right, are not being paid. My then partner's looking at me like, what are you doing? Yeah. Right. You're not, what is going on here? And I remember having like a massive nervous breakdown. And in that nervous breakdown, I remember specifically hitting my leg on the table, like my shin, right? My cat just kind of like at that time, my cat ran by, scared the shit out of me. I just got off the phone with someone who chewed my ass out, and I like banged my shin. I was like, fuck.
Just one of those snowballs.
Oh God, right? So I bang my shin, and I'm on the ground, and I'm just like banging. I'm just start crying, and there's blood. And then I look up, and the cat's just there with like the stupid grin on his face, right? Because he doesn't have teeth. The cat doesn't have teeth, right? It's a whole other story. So the cat doesn't have teeth, and he's just looking at me. He's this big fat orange cat, and I just start, I just can't help but laugh, right? Yeah. And then my dog comes over, and he's, just making sure I'm okay, and I'm just like, start breathing, right? And then so that's when I was like, okay, something is wrong. Yes. And I had to take a look at every relationship that I had with men in authority positions. Why was I attracting these kinds of professional relationships that I was being taken advantage of? Yeah. Why was I making bad deals? Yeah. It's like, oh, it's my ego. Yeah. My ego is, I can help everyone. Oh, I can take that challenge on. Yeah. And it was also my money story. Yeah. I grew up with a very poor money mindset. Yeah. And so I never addressed that, never understood that. I would literally, in a negotiation, I would say, it's not about the money. You never say that during a money negotiation. It's not about the money. You never say that. And so I would see that thinking, I want this person to like me. I want this person to know how passionate I am about this. I want this person to know that my heart's in a good place about this. Yeah. Right? Rather than just letting the work speak for itself. Yes. Yeah. And so I would put myself in really bad positions. And so I had to come to terms with why I was there. Yeah. It was my fault. It wasn't their fault. It was a series of things that kept happening. It was a pattern. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is on me.
Absolutely. And you recognize too, both in the moment of hitting your shin, but also living that life over and over and over again, that your nervous system was tuned to the pattern of, it's not about the money, I can be worthy, or I am worthy if I show this, if I show up the most excited, the most gregarious, and I can raise my hand and say, I've done the same shit, for years and years and years in my life. And I recognize this, like, oh yeah, I was like leading forward with this story of, if I show up and I just give all this value, but I don't receive, then it's like, then you'll like me more, right? Mm-hmm. But nobody likes somebody that can't pay the bills.
No, not at all. Yeah. Look, money's necessary for freedom. Absolutely. Money's necessary for independence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just an exchange of energy. Yeah. Right. I learned that. It's just this thing that we agreed upon that we're going to exchange with one another. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Right. And so we can go down that path, but once I understood that this is an exchange of energy, and if we're going to agree on something, then let's put it on the table. Let's be honest about it. Yeah. Right. I don't feel bad about negotiations anymore. And so once I was able to kind of understand where I was, it was then, well, how do I get myself out of this? Yeah. right? And so I started picking on little things.
So let's go there. How did you pick yourself up? And we're kind of going down your path, obviously, as your evolution.
So I had to analyze like everything in my life at that point, right? And once you become self-aware, once you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, this is on me.
Yeah.
There is a great opportunity there. And so I was like, well, I didn't know where to start. So I started picking at little podcasts, right? And I was like, I knew something like I couldn't read anymore. I was having difficulty journaling. I was having difficulty doing these things that they said, if you do them, they'll help you to be successful. Why was I struggling with that? And so I started to like Google like brain. And so I found the brain guy, Jim Quick.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So Jim Quick, great podcast. He's got like 16-minute. He calls them like quick bites or something like that. And listening to Jim Quick led me to like Tom Bilyeu, right? Impact Theory. And then Tom Bilyeu led me to Ed Milet.
Yeah.
And Ed Milet was like game changing for me.
Yeah.
Right.
You kind of look like Ed Milet in a way.
I've been told that. He's a handsome man. So
he's a handsome man.
Man. So, and he's a great speaker, right? He's a phenomenal speaker.
He's powerful, man.
So that was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then listening to Ed, it brought me back to Tony. And it brought me back to Pedro's Koulian, right? So here are these So here are these strong masculine men, right? Great figures, successful. They were saying some common themes, and one was faith, and they kept coming back to faith. And I, at this point, was not in tune with my faith. I didn't have a relationship with God anymore.
And when you say faith, do you mean a religious sense or a spiritual sense?
I would say a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
Right. And they kept coming back to faith, something greater than themselves.
Yeah.
Another thing that they kept coming back to was being vulnerable. And being honest. And sharing their story and sharing their plights and sharing the things that they struggle with.
Yeah.
Here I was covering that stuff up.
So let me ask you this, because vulnerability is like the thing that for me was so positive. Yeah. What's a space, especially for men, what's a space that being vulnerable is the right time? Because I did get vulnerable with my wife at times, and she would it was almost like I would get the opposite reaction that I thought. Like in some ways I would get very positive reaction from her. Like it was very like she softened and I softened, and we had the most amazing moments. But in other times, she didn't want to see the vulnerable side of me. She wanted the warrior side of me. So when, where do guys actually get vulnerable? How do they get vulnerable?
That's a great question. Who has those answers, right? I don't think you can write a book, and I still don't think you would get it right. Yeah. Right. If you're the smartest person in the world. So what I found is asking, are you able to hold space for me? Yeah. Hey, can we talk? And I want to share some stuff. Are you in a place that you can receive that right now?
I think that hits the nail on the head right there. Is being in a safe container. I've asked questions to mentors. They kind of looked at me a little bit sideways. I remember when I was I basically lost my business, and I had signed a contract that just completely fell through, and it just crushed the entire business. And I remember asking 3 different mentors, all older than me, thinking that they were successful in business. They all drove real nice cars and these things, right? And I was like, I'm basically down to a couple $100, what do I do? And I remember all of them kind of I think that they just couldn't hold space at the time for my vulnerability. Yeah. And maybe it shed some light on their vulnerabilities. And that definitely could have been it, where I was like, I don't know what to do, and they would try to give me some answers, but it was still this, you need to work harder, or, kind of rather than truly allowing me to be vulnerable and allowing me to express frankly, I'm scared, I don't know how to get myself out of this thing. And so I think when you said, are you able to hold space for this? Hey, can we set a container? Yep. Or, whether it's a friend, a male or female friend, or a group of men. I think groups of men holding space for another man is the most healing thing.
Oh my God, it's great. Yeah. Being in men's groups has done wonders for me, and we can go down that pipeline. So the idea of asking for space
Yeah.
is so important, because here's especially for men, right?
Yeah.
And especially for me, I don't like pity.
Mm.
I don't want it. Like, that's why I don't want your pity. I don't want you to solve my problems.
Yeah.
Chances are I'm pretty much close to the solution. And sometimes what we need is just someone to hold space for us, and we're going to work through those solutions in our head as we're sharing.
Yeah.
And all you may need to do is ask me a question.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? Have you thought about this? And so as men, if we can do that for one another, rather than saying, let me fix you real quick.
Yeah.
I got your solution.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let the other person work through whatever they need to work through.
Yeah.
And if they ask you a question, I've always sat with it for a second.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. And ask a question back. And allow that man or that person the opportunity to kind of be like, oh, I mean, that comes down to coaching, right?
Yeah.
But I found that it really worked in my relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times my then girlfriend, my partner, I didn't realize she didn't want me to solve our problems.
Imagine that, though.
I know, right?
The female
she just wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be seen. She just wanted to be acknowledged. She just needed me to hold space for her.
Yeah.
Right. And she needed to share some things. And all I needed to at that point was be like, okay, I'm here. I see you.
Yeah.
Right. Or give her a hug or acknowledge her. Whereas the man inside of me just wanted to fix her.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this. Like if you're not going to do anything about it, why are you telling me about this? It's the worst thing we can do as men, right? To say to our women, or to say to even one another. So I think it's really asking for that space. It's really setting the table for what you want and just communicating that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've learned that same lesson with my wife is listen. Listen.
Well, men's group made me a better listener.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, we did a practice at the retreat that we went to, where we had to put our hands on each other's hearts. One person's there was a question. One person said the answer to the question, and then the other person didn't respond back. They just said, "I heard you say," and then you just reiterate what you heard. That has actually helped me a ton.
Yeah, it's a great practice.
It's a great practice. I highly recommend it. So it's like if you're listening to, let's say, your wife or your husband or whoever, you literally just say, I heard you say, and then just reiterate what they said. And then what that naturally does is that makes them feel seen, it makes them feel heard. And now they can soften and be like, oh yeah. Like, I get that.
That point right there, right? The tool, right? Of being able to kind of like, here's what I heard you say. Right? Yeah. Here's another thing that really helped me with men's group. We're not responsible for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not responsible for your experience in life.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for mine.
Yeah.
Right. I need to allow you to have your experiences.
Yeah.
And so setting these containers up with like no coaching. We're not coaching each other. There's no advice given here.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That allows the person sharing to kind of like, oh, I can share without having to give context.
Yeah.
I can share without having to like solve it, because I can just share.
Yeah.
Right. What it did for me as the listener, not like just being able to like relax my nervous system, just hear you and see you. Holy shit. That was fantastic for me.
It's huge. It's huge to be able to, receive someone, and actually by even receiving without agenda, that makes a huge difference, both in relationships and connection and depth. Remember what I was going to talk about is when someone asks me a question, like they're looking for coaching, I'll actually simply just ask them to teach me as if they're the coach, and instantly they get the answer. It's funny because we all know, right? And maybe we can talk about this. We all know what we need to do, right?
I'm glad we're talking about this.
We all know what we need to do, but sometimes we just don't do it.
Yes.
Why do we not do it?
I mean, there's so many contributing factors to that, right? And that's where coaching for me is different than consulting. Yeah. Right. With coaching, it's more about the things that I know you already know that you're not doing. So let's guide you there. Yeah. Right. And that's why you said asking questions back is fantastic. Yeah. But why don't we do them? Because sometimes the answers are so simple and they're right in front of us, but we just want to make things more complicated.
Yeah. The way
it can't be that simple. No way.
That's what I was mentioning earlier. It was like you get the result and you're like, gosh, that was so easy. I just did the work, but why do I? But there's an interesting thing. There's a feeling in that. It's like your nervous system, and this is what I've discovered, is that your nervous system is not attuned to the result, right? Like you might get a result and then it might go away. Like you might not even get a result, number one, or you might get inconsistent results. Let's say it's like you're a sales guy, you have a big month, and then the next month you have a low month, and you have you're building back up. You're like, I'm going to do it, and you're going to will yourself and power through. You have another big month, and then it's like you kind of coast and you go back to the way it was, because you were putting so much work into the result that, number one, it's not feasible. You're trying to push too hard, and what's happening is that your nervous system is not primed for whatever that thing is, because it's like a pattern, like you were mentioning with you going out into the world and saying, it's not about the money. It's not about the money, right? It's like that was like your nervous system felt safe in actually not receiving. And then you would create these certain patterns, because that's the way we were growing. Like that's what we saw when we were growing up as young men, and we saw from our fathers and their fathers before. Push it down, don't talk about it, right? Like don't bring that shit up, because that's not being a man, right? And whatever that meant at the time, and that causes so much tension, so much pressure in us. It's so interesting. Why do you think that we are in our generation now even having these conversations? Like, because for years and years and years and years, right? Like the millennia of men and masculinity, we never talked about this stuff. It was just sort of like the warrior mentality. Men will do what they need to do. Why do you think it's changing in our culture?
I really think, obviously, technology has made a big impact in that. Information is at our fingertips, right? The ability to listen and hear some of the greatest minds like at the disposal of your fingertips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
that's a good point.
My mom, my mother was, she's a woman of color. She grew up in the projects.
Yep.
And my grandmother, she moved here from Puerto Rico at like 15. She worked as a seamstress, but she was heavily in education. That was her way. That's the way she saw our way out. Right, was through education, learning, being smart, reading. So my mother would give me, and even when she knew I was going to have issues, she would give me self-help books from an early age. She was big into Tony Robbins. But later, when I was like really into it, she said the only people that had access to this early on, when I was coming up in the 80s, were executives, CEOs and executives. And she goes, many of those people ended up going into big pharma. She goes, that's how big pharma became so popular or so like successful. All this information that were readily available, personal development and all that, that was really like the only people that would go to those things were, high level sales people, executives. Yeah. Right. That's because you had to spend a lot of money to go to those events. Yeah. Right. There was no internet. Yeah. Maybe a book, but who was buying that book? Right. So I think now, because advancements in technology has put that stuff out there, it's given people more opportunity now to share this stuff. But I think we've all realized what we were doing wasn't working. Yeah. It wasn't working. Like I saw my father. Yeah. I saw my uncles. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be like that. Yeah. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to be overweight and hating my life and being violent to my children and being violent to my partner. Yeah. That's what I grew up seeing. Yeah. And I think many of us did. Yeah. And many of us are like, no. Yeah. This is wrong. Yeah. Right? This is wrong. And I think obviously as a society, as species, we've made a lot of progress. I think we don't give ourselves that grace. Like looking back, I mean, the civil rights movement was only 60 years ago? Yeah. Not that long ago. That's not that long ago. Yeah. Like like people are still alive. Yeah. And we forget that. Right. So we've made a lot of advancements over the last 40 to 60 years. And I can say, I think as a species, even though we're in this like crazy time. Yeah. I'm proud of what we've done so far. Now, if we can progress emotionally the same way we're progressing through technology. Yeah. I think we would evolve eventually. Yeah. But we're putting distractions in front of us. Yeah. We're not solving our real problems. right? We're finding distractions and we're using technology almost as a crutch because of it.
Yeah. And I do agree 100% with what you're saying about the advance in technology has essentially shined a light on. It's like we kind of knew that as kids, like growing up, and I would see, I was raised in the upper Midwest, and like my uncles and, the way my dad and them like would interact. And like I had a great childhood. And then you go to like, a cousin's house and you're like, whoa, the things are different here. And it's like pretty rugged, a lot of drinking, a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling. And you're like, what is happening? Like, I do not want to end up like this. And what technology has done is shined a light on that and us. And, everything from women coming out and saying, hey, I'm done with the way men are treating us.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was very positive. I did feel attacked. I'll be honest. I felt attacked as a man, but that was shining a light on me of like, oh shit, like I need to do some work around myself. And so I took responsibility. I raised my hand and said, well, I'm going to go deeper into myself and understanding my masculinity. What is this? And in fact, that was actually one of the healthiest things that has ever happened for me personally, which is understanding masculinity, understanding what it means to be a man, understanding masculine and feminine dynamic, and the fact that we actually have, as men, feminine structures within us. And if we can accept that and just allow for the feminine structures, which is the softness, the nurturing, the tenderness, the feeling, right? It's like the intuitive sense within us. If we can allow that, then amazing things will happen and we'll be able to express and expand at a greater level.
I remember just recently talking to my father about that. And he was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? My dad's a street guy from Brooklyn. Right?
Oh,
he's a tough guy.
Yeah. Tough guy.
Not a tough guy anymore. He's like, I'm an old man now. But he's like, you tapping into what? I'm like, Pop, you got feminine energy too. He's like, what do you mean I got feminine energy? He's like, I don't got feminine energy. I'm like, yeah, Pop, you got feminine energy. He's like, you got feminine energy. So it's so funny sometimes to talk to these older guys, man. And,
that's so funny.
It is. But it's so true when you realize, oh, there's a balance between us.
Yeah.
And there's something sometimes that could happen, and it's happening with men, and not a positive way, where men can, this stuff can get addicting.
Yeah.
Right? The work can get addicting.
Yeah.
It's really enlightening. It's really awesome to see yourself make these changes.
Yeah.
But we can find ourselves too much in one energy rather than the other. And sometimes we find ourselves way too far in the feminine, where everything starts to be around healing. Our conversations, our social engagements, all of a sudden we're passionate about this stuff. We see this, maybe I want to make this my career. Right? And I remembered not long ago, I was in a group, I was in a circle, and I was like, something was different about me. I was feeling like resistance to this, and I was feeling almost resentment to the leaders and to the people. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so I had to sit with this, and I was like, oh, Quigley, I know what's going on. You were in your feminine, and you needed to be because you were shifting, and you wanted to play, and you wanted to connect, and you wanted to surrender. So you were in your feminine, but you did it.
Yeah, you're healed.
Not completely, but there's levels, but you did a lot of that. You are good now. And what's happening is you're getting back into your masculine, which means take action.
Yeah.
Which means it's time to go. It's time to have some structure. It's time to get that balance back in the equation. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I took a break.
Yeah.
I took a break from like being so emotional and sharing from a place of pain.
Yeah.
And here's what this changed everything for me. I was sitting with my mom. She came to visit me for Christmas, and my whole family, it was awesome. And I said to her, can you give me some memories of some of the good stuff? And she's like, you don't remember the good stuff? I'm like, not a lot.
Yeah.
And so we just went down this path of all these awesome memories of her playing with me as a kid and taking me all of these museums and these things and all the great things that I did that she remembered. And then I started doing that with my sister. And I did it with my daughter. And I started to unlock good memories.
Ooh, I like that.
Really healthy, good memories, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm talking from the place and I'm narrating my story through the good stuff, not living in the negative, not living in these other stories that they don't serve me anymore. Yeah, they were lessons. I learned from them. Fantastic. They're a part of me. but I can change the narrative.
Yeah.
And now it was like, and my whole body changed. Everything changed when I was now coming from that place of thinking about some of the good things that happened in my life.
That is a powerful practice, and I have not heard that yet. And that's something that I actually want to try with my father, my mother.
It happened by accident.
I know.
It happened by accident.
But if you think about it, you know, how often do we walk around with father wounds and mother wounds, and we, you know, we're sort of like locked in on, you know, like the target of like, you did this to me, you said this thing one time, and instead of just actually having grace and forgiveness for this individual that might have been hurting for themselves at the time, we kind of get locked in, and then we don't even see sight of all the positivity that has come from that interaction, that relationship. And it's interesting because I'm sure if I sat down with my father or my mother, that their perspective might be a little bit different, but I'm sure there might be a lot of overlap between the two of us of like, hey, what are some of the best memories that you have? And for them, it might have, I know it sounds silly, but like probably sitting all day at a wrestling tournament and watching me wrestle, you know, that could have been it, because they would take their entire Saturdays and that's what they would do. I remember my dad would have his coffee and he'd sit in the stands. He had, from a Michigan guy. He has a big Michigan jacket. He always had the Michigan jacket. That was the thing. And he'd drink his coffee and he'd watch wrestling, and that was it. And I'm sure he loved that. You know?
It felt great to do that.
Yeah,
you know, because I had a great childhood with really tough moments, and that's what I needed to understand. I didn't have a tough childhood. I had a really great childhood.
Yes,
but we had really difficult moments as a family. Yeah, you know, my father was very responsible for that. My dad moonlighted in organized crime, and he did a lot of bad shit. Yeah. And there were a lot of bad people that hung around us. Yeah. So we saw some shit, but there was also a lot of good. Yeah. And there was more good than bad. And so, again, it's just detaching from those stories, right? And saying, okay, well, all right, I understand the story, but I can change it. Yeah. I can change it so it serves me. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And when I healed my relationship with my mother and I healed my relationship with my father, every other relationship, man and woman, healed for me. Wow. And it was I'm just gonna sit with that word. This is an audio show, but I just want to just like sit in silence, because that is powerful. And that I feel like that there's so much truth behind that, you know, for so many, like all of us, to be honest. If you think about the original relationship you have with either a man or a woman was your mother or father. Yep. That was the original relationship, you know, from like the second you opened your eyes when you were born. That was like, boom, locked in. Like, this is the feminine archetype. This is the masculine archetype. And sometimes we got the shadow side of that. Sometimes we got the light side of that. But that's what we sort of like assumed was the standard for us. And that's really powerful. It's really powerful. In fact, I want to take that and actually kind of transition with that with, you know, you were mentioning the guys that your father was hanging around with, because I know when we hang around with a certain group of individuals, we sort of become those individuals, because it allows us to understand. It gives us insight into things. I'll even notice little things like if a buddy has like a tool, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good tool. I want to buy that. You know, it's like you kind of you start. We're naturally influenced by the people we're around most. Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about when the executives were able to get access to personal development, and then they were able to create something like a whole nother industry like big pharma, like you're mentioning. How do you think, like, and I think it's possible, but let me ask you this. Do you think it's possible for us to take now beyond personal development? It's almost like this transformative experience, this new consciousness, and create an entire marketplace, entire exchange and productivity around that, and if so, what do you think might, like, how would that show up? You know, that's a great question, man. Yeah, we would need a whole nother show to unpack. I know. But we can, you know, I'm a big believer in conscious capitalism. Right, I'm a big believer in conscious. What is conscious capitalism to you? It is when you're aware of where your money's going. Okay. Right. You're aware of where you're spending your money, and you're spending your money on things that you know provide value to your community. At least that's the way I perceive it to be. Okay. Right. Other people could have other definitions. Yeah. That's mine. And so when I was rewriting my definition of success, self-reliance and independence was right there, but also living in synergy with my community. Right. And what does that look like? So I'm doing my budget. and I realized I'm spending $180 at the local coffee shop down the block.
Yeah.
Right. And first instance, like, oh, that's getting cut off. Right. I can make my own coffee, you know?
Yeah.
And then I sat with it and I'm like, wait a minute. I love going to that coffee place.
Yeah.
Those people know my name. They know my dog. I love my barista.
Yeah.
So that $180 is paying rent for that.
It's like a membership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're able to transfer that.
Yeah.
I'm transferring this energy that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's making my community better.
Yeah.
So it's being aware where your money's going.
Yeah.
So I think as a movement, right, if we can start to become more aware of first ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. We've got to that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And then your home. Right. Like I love people who get on soapboxes and they start thinking the world needs to change, but yet they haven't cleaned their dishes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they haven't done their laundry yet. Right.
Yeah.
So their bills are unpaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, do your house first. Get your house in order. Get your family in order.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in order. Okay. Walk outside now and take that person with you into the community.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I've been doing is trying to bring this man I am today into the community. So I'm an asset.
Yeah.
Right. And I do believe it's being more conscious of our humanity. You know, I think today what makes me happy, like I didn't have access to those things growing up in the inner city.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in an inner city dynamics, you're surrounded by concrete, you're surrounded by bricks, you're surrounded by people, massive amounts of people. And so the dynamics are very different than, say, someone that grew up in the backcountry.
Yeah.
Or just in a suburban area.
Yeah.
Right. So what makes me happy today? Nature. Being connected to my food sources.
Yeah.
Having access to watering holes, you know, being outside and just being able to have this great freedom with, you know, the way I can interact with my community. Wow. Okay. Those things make me happy. So I think it's just being aware of that stuff.
Yeah.
And being conscious of what does make us as humans happier.
Yeah.
How do we get back to our humanity? Because I see us trying to live in this alternate universe.
Yeah.
This metaverse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what happens then to the body? What happens then to the consciousness of that being that's in this alternate reality? Well, all someone has to do is pull the plug on that sucker.
Right.
And then what happens to the body that you've been given and you've been provided?
Yeah.
What about this awesome place that we have that we're responsible for?
Yeah.
You know, we're responsible for the animals here. We're responsible for the land that's here. And I feel like the people that are the loudest about climate change and about respect to animals are so disconnected from nature. Yes. They often are, right? Because I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was huge into that, right? And I almost was going to be a vegan at one point, right? Because I saw the farming industry and the cattle industry, and I was like, oh, fuck this. But I moved here and I started talking to people that hunt. And I met people that lived in the backcountry. Yeah. And I saw how they lived. And then I remember going to Yalepa, Mexico.
Okay.
And they just got power 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10 years ago, right? And it's an awesome place. Yeah. It's magical there. Yeah. But these people don't need all these comforts that we have. Yeah. So if they were to have a catastrophe of a power outage, they would be okay. Yeah. We'd be screwed.
Oh, and that happened to Austin a year ago.
That's what made me realize this.
Yeah.
I was like, I am screwed. Yeah. Like, where am I going to get food? Yeah. What's going to happen to me? Yeah. I can't provide for myself as a man, as a human. Yeah. Right. And so what happens into these people that are in these massive cities? Yeah. They're just going to tear themselves apart. Right. Their survival instincts are going to kick on. Yep. And immediately they're going to start to think about, well, how can I eat? Well, that person's got food. Yeah. That person has resources. I'm important, not them. Yeah. Right. And so it flips that human switch that we all have, that animal. So I think it's just becoming aware of that stuff and just realizing, how do we get back to our humanity?
I like that. I like that a lot. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the awareness part, and then healing what is the underlying driver for us to want the comfort, the bigger house, the this, that. And oftentimes, and this is kind of full circle on your story, which is like we have things that we struggle with and we want something a little bit better, and we go after that thing. And when we go through that process, a lot of the shit is brought to the surface, and we got to heal that. We got to see that. We got to reckon with that. We got to tap into our feminine energy. We got to, allow for the masculine to set some containers for ourselves. And then ultimately we can get to a place of, I like to call it cooperative capitalism. And I do like conscious capitalism. And I totally agree with you. And what I've been kind of toying around with, for instance, I run an event, and what I do is I have a team of people, and I don't hire these people full time or even part time. It's just for this one event. And every time that we run the event, I sort of have them do a certain series of tasks, both in the event itself, but also leading up to the event. And then we do a profit share, and that's been like super fun. And I always, it's like it's almost like they're sponsoring. Then I announce who they are and what their work is, and everybody gets to share and everybody gets to have fun. It's every time I come out of that event, and we do that once a month. And you've been to that event, actually.
It was amazing.
And and it's just so much love. It's hard to describe the amount of love that I feel for the people that are around me, and to know too. And in fact, recently, so my wife got COVID. This is a couple months ago, when we were about to have literally the day of the event. She wakes up and she's sick. We got 3 kids at home, and we no babysitter is gonna come over.
Yeah.
And my wife is sick. I was like, I gotta guys, I can't do the event. And one of the guys that was part of this event was like, no man, you're leading this thing. I'll come babysit. I was like, shit, dude. This guy took one for the team.
That's huge.
That was spoke so loud.
That's some tribe shit. That's some village shit.
That's exactly. He's like, I don't expect anything in return. Just I
take care of the tribe.
Yeah, take care of the tribe. I was like, that's what cooperative capitalism is to me. Yeah, there's profit. We gotta produce. I mean, that's an apple tree has to produce apples. Yeah. It's got to profit apples, in order for enough to go around and for enough to fall in the grass and to fertilize the grass in the ground and continue that cycle. And so producing, and we're talking about exchange of energy is so powerful. But I've found that cooperative capitalism.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's a really nice term.
Yeah,
start using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I mean that can show up in so many ways too. As I'm kind of thinking about it, let's say you have a group of men that are all men's coaches or business coaches or whatever. You run an event and everybody gets to share in on, each one brings something to the table. And then, hey, if you want to go down the rabbit hole of marketing, you get and talk to this guy. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of sales, you talk to this guy. It's everybody gets to share in on the experience. And I think something like that. And I'm sure there's more ways, Yeah,
well, I think, it's being able to provide value.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to receive value in return.
Yeah.
I think that's what people get most upset at.
Yeah.
Is they'll work their butts off. They'll do something. They'll give all their love, all their passion for something, and then the value is not returned, or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes we think people just deserve stuff for showing up.
Yeah.
And it's no, you need to provide value for this. Yeah. Right. And so if we can take ownership that I'm going to provide value, or, value needs to be returned.
Yeah.
That's where those conversations need to have place.
Yeah.
That's where the money story has to change. And you have to understand that everything is about a negotiation.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with negotiating. Yeah. We made it so taboo all of a sudden in this lifetime. And it's it's an age old thing. It used to happen on the Silk Road. Yeah. Right. It goes back to the Silk Road, where earlier times, everything was a negotiation.
Yeah.
And we've lost that, because in that negotiation, you and I are determining what is going to be the exchange of value and energy.
Yeah.
And we've shunned away from it because we're scared of how we're going to be perceived. We're scared that we may actually be perceived that we actually want money.
Yeah.
We all want money. We know what money does. But now, because society has made Scrooge McDuck, right? They put him as the poster child. They've put, corporate greed up there. And that stuff exists. For sure.
Absolutely.
But because we've hung that up there, it's it's bad to talk about profit.
Yeah.
It's bad to negotiate.
Yeah.
It's bad to be seen as salesy.
Yeah.
Right.
I always felt that if I received more than I was worth, right? What is worth, at the end of the day, But if I received more than a certain dollar amount, that I was greedy. I just, for whatever reason, felt
Crazy.
that. Yeah, it's crazy. But you're right. Like it came from, like Scrooge McDuck and even as a kid, DuckTales.
DuckTales, yeah.
Like,
and he's diving in.
Yeah, he's diving in his vault with coins and all these things.
Show.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good show. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you have the capacity to heal yourself and let go of whatever wound around money or subconscious thought, and even in because business is also relationship dynamics, and I think this is really vital. If you can heal your own relationship dynamics like you've done with your mom and dad, and you recognize that like, hey, this person just has a desire to, that person has a desire for money, but they also have a desire to experience fulfillment in these things, and you can help them achieve that, then the negotiation is so much easier. And I think folks like you and I, so, we're in the entrepreneurial world and we've built something for ourselves where I think the next iteration of this, I think about like the average Joe that works at McDonald's, right? It's like, they're not going to be doing a lot of personal development unless they're very young and they're hungry for something more. So do you think that it's possible to kind of get that individual on board? As an example, like let's say you're the business owner and you want everybody in your business to have a cooperative capitalist, mentality where, hey, if we all work together in your lane, you get a little share of the pie. Do you think it's possible to motivate an individual enough so that they're going to think about themselves almost as a business owner, even if they're the janitor or the front desk person or whatever, like to do the best job that they can in that arena, and then kind of constantly evolve and innovate in that area? Do you think is it possible to get people motivated?
Yeah, I think that's the next movement. Yeah. Right. So the movement that we're in now is like the Great Resignation. Yeah. Right. And people will just like, screw this, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. I'm out.
That's happening in, like, I heard in LA, like hundreds of people are quitting their job. I mean, they're going to do things like ayahuasca and then they all quit.
Everybody's out. Yeah. They're realizing something's wrong.
There's a whole thing on Reddit right now. I think it's like the anti-work movement or something like that. People are just like quitting.
So I'm big into patterns. I'm big in looking into history, and I'm big in, so I'll use my own experiences to see like, okay, well, where's this going? So back in 2006, 2007, we had the great leave in the gyms. Like a lot of people left the big box gyms and went and opened up small personal training studios.
The garage gym.
Yeah. And this wasn't the time where we were teaching group, we were still individual. And then shortly after that, 2008, 2009, economy went bad. And so people couldn't train as much anymore. We couldn't afford the overhead. Yeah. But guess what? We learned lessons in that 1 or 2 years of being open on your own and being an entrepreneur. And so many people actually took a job back and went back to these corporate big box gyms, such as Equinoxes or Town Sports International. And so what we did was bring those lessons back with us that we learned. And people today love working at Equinox. Yeah. Like, I remember people hated it. They were going through lawsuits back in the day, and people loved them. Yeah. Because people left, came back, and they realized we can do things better. We can make things better. So I think what's going to happen is people are leaving. People realize this isn't the way. Yeah. And what I would love to see is that people understand not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Correct. And if you are a new time entrepreneur, if you're a first time entrepreneur, or you've been doing this for a while, please do not give the advice that working for other people sucks. Yeah. Don't do that, because at some point, someone's going to come work for you. Yeah. And do you want them to have that same mentality? Ooh. No. Obviously not, right? You
check the mirror.
Yeah, you want to set a good example. Yeah. Right? It used to suck working for someone that doesn't value you. Yeah. Goes back to value. Yeah. It's amazing to work for someone that's a mentor and someone that can teach you and someone that can provide you this space where you can be successful. Right? So in the coaching space, you had people who left all these lucrative careers and now are in the coaching space, and many of them are getting punched in the face. Yeah. Because they're like, this is hard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have to market myself. I have to sell myself.
Yeah.
I have to figure out like the logistics of this. And I still got to show up and coach and go on a journey with this person.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, I wasn't expecting this. I just had a 6-figure lifestyle.
Yeah.
Now I'm down to maybe $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I have savings for, right?
Yeah.
And so you have this happening now, and you have it happening in other industries as well. So what I think will eventually happen is people are going to learn some really great lessons through some wonderful struggles. Some wonderful struggles, which you and I have both have had as entrepreneurs. You're listening out there, you've had them. And they're gonna be able to take these. And hopefully, I think what we can do is go back to these companies and start these great companies and do it differently. Right? Think about work-life balance. Think about cooperative capitalism, right? How can the person that starts at the entry level, how can we motivate them enough and develop them enough so that they can feel valued where they are, but not giving them everything that they feel like there's no room for advancement. That's the thing. Like you have to want to go to the next step.
I love that. And even thinking about it, like, so I got to hire a new front desk gal at our office, and thinking about, I even just said something sexist, gal. I said gal, and that's probably not true. Front desk person, you know. No,
is gal considered sexist?
I was thinking about feminine energy, like when you first walk in. So it doesn't have to be feminine energy, but it's always always feels much more welcoming. If somebody has, like they're welcomed by that. Well,
actually I've had a really great front desk guy. He's probably the best front desk guy I've ever had.
Somebody's welcoming.
You just want a really friendly, personable,
just
face.
A friendly human. Right. And so
it's a good catch, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. I was just like kind of caught myself like, wait, that's not true. So that person is stepping out, going on to different things, and now they think about like cooperative capitalism. It's as if you like give them autonomy, like this is your lane. And one of the things that even I learned in military leadership is that everybody has their own lane, whether you're the driver, you're the gunner, you're the nav guy. It doesn't matter. Like you own that lane. Like nobody can fucking touch that lane. Like you are it. Now, the leader then says, okay, well, we got to go here, here, here. What do you guys need to do in order to get there? And sometimes if you're young and you're really green and you don't know where to go at all, then like, hey, give me some pointers, give me some insight. But once you get that down, then you own that shit and you're like, oh yeah, I got that. And I think what we were finding you were saying like about leaving corporate America, we didn't have that autonomy. We didn't have that that positive leadership of thinking, I own this lane and I'm going to and I see how I am connected to the whole. And I think a lot more people are looking for meaning and fulfillment. And they're looking for something a little bit deeper rather than just punch in, just like, like that person at McDonald's, like is not thinking outside of like, I have to do things this way and this is the box. Whereas, what I think we can start doing is, even if you get a new person in the same lane, say, this is the way we were doing it. How would you improve this? How would you make this better? This is yours. You get to innovate this however you want. If you want the chair over there, or if you want to say something different when somebody walks in, by all means do that. And I think that's the way you create motivation. For sure. Because it's ownership.
I have a theory on this. It comes down to, we've been given really bad advice in the modern era. Which is follow your passion. It's bad advice because passion is a controlled emotion. Right? Passion is no different than anger. Passion is no different than joy. Passion is no different than happiness or being horny. Right? It's all emotion. And it all changes. Right? So if you're chasing this thing that's going to change, then what happens when it gets difficult? And it gets really hard, which it will, then you're like, well, I'm not passionate about this anymore. Right? So really what we should be chasing is the ability to improve and to build skills. If you're working at McDonald's, right? Instead of saying, well, flipping burgers doesn't fulfill me. I'm not passionate about flipping burgers. But what if you understood that in what you're doing is you're building personality skills. You're building the ability to count money. right? And take orders and be able to problem solve and be able to connect the dots. You're building customer service.
Yeah.
Right? You're building the ability to connect with a customer.
Yeah.
So you're building up all of these skills and you take this with you and that's where mastery comes into play. So if we were to be fulfilled by what we do every day and being able to problem solve, like, okay, I don't understand this today, but I'm going to work at it and I'm going to get a little bit better. That's my fulfillment. Oh my God, I just got better with that.
Let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're saying you don't need to bring passion to it, but you rather look for a skill set, right? Okay. So I would say yes, and I actually do like the idea of bringing passion to something. I'll give an example. I saw a guy in the airport at the Amy's Ice Cream, right? And you kind of know like Amy's Ice Cream, and like I have never seen somebody so happy scooping ice cream. He was literally like spinning around, throwing it in the air, catching it in the cup, like, you know, flipping it, doing the thing. And he was just like, and then he would like kind of bow when he would like hand it to the kid. And I'm like, this guy is, that guy is on. And what I was thinking about was like, he's bringing passion to ice cream. Like that's what he's like, he's scooping ice cream, but he's bringing maybe dance, maybe self-expression, maybe movement. Maybe that's the thing that gets him up in the morning. And yeah, he's working at Amy's Ice Cream, which is a really simple job. It's scooping ice cream. We've all seen that before. But you know, when you bring that nuance, that personality of passion, and maybe it is skills like learning. But when you bring that, there's so much value you can bring to the table. I actually like that. Now I think about it, it's like you're bringing your own fire. What is that thing that gets you up in the morning?
Well, it's confidence of getting better at something.
Yeah.
Right. So think about that guy, right? So had he sucked at flipping ice cream, right? Which he probably did.
Yeah.
Right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't know how to use the scooper. Right. Which you're going to suck in the beginning of doing something. You're not going to be good at it. So when you're not good at it, it's very hard to find confidence.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have fun and to be in that playful mode, right? And bring your inner child with you and be like, I suck at it, but I'm gonna have a good time anyways, right? Because although you'll be passionate about it for a minute, and you'll be like, I'm passionate about this, and then you're going through those struggles, and it's like, I don't know if I like this anymore. I don't know if I'm good, and that's what's happening is so many people are chasing that that moment where they're gonna feel so fulfilled by this thing, but that thing is a journey. Like you're not going to be fulfilled by it all the time, right? There's going to be moments where you're going to have to take shit, and you're going to be moments where you're going to have to really solve these things. There's going to be moments where you're going to feel like quitting. There's going to be moments where you're like desperate. But it's in those moments, it's in those pursuits of I can overcome this. Because when I do, I'm going to unlock another level. And so you unlock that level and you unlock that confidence. And then you come into work the next day and you're fucking flipping the ice cream. And you're like, I just figured out how to flip the ice cream. And so now I can flip the ice cream. And now that child's in front of me. Hey, you want to see something? Woo, look at that. I just flipped that ice cream, right? But before he flipped that ice cream, he was dropping it. He was struggling with it. And so he didn't feel confident to do that with the young lady. So I believe it's building the confidence. And once you build that confidence, then you have these other emotions that come with it, which is passion, joy, fulfillment. And so I discovered that by 20 years of chasing passion and having this up and down career in fitness.
That is so fascinating. I just kind of got this insight, right? So what you're describing, passion is inherently, we'll call that a feminine trait, right? It's like, it's flow, it's movement. It's like, it's all these things. If you bring passion to, let's say, you're the front desk person, but you don't know all the skills, right? Which is like, you don't have the standard operating procedures and the container and the lane and the guide rails, which is the more masculine side of it. And like the structure, if you don't have the structure, you can't bring passion into it. And then it's just kind of flailing. Now it's like, it's almost like, you have empathy for the person behind the desk, but you're probably not going to do business with that company if you're constantly getting the same let me find where this, but if somebody's too rigid behind the desk, or I'm just using front desk as an example because it's on my mind. If somebody's too rigid you're probably still not going to do, business with them because you're like, I just don't feel like like there's much connection to this. So there is inherently a balance between masculinity, which is like skill set, skill learning, standard operating procedures, having structure, organization, calendaring things out, and bringing your own natural nuance, your personality, your passion, your love, your, what values do you have, what beliefs, what goals, what aspirations, even if you're, like scooping ice cream, working at McDonald's or working at a front desk, how is this going to improve or bring you towards that goal that you have for yourself? And I think if people can truly like connect the dots there, then they can go somewhere like that. Yeah.
I think that, you nailed it with like why the Great Resignation is the thing, because people aren't getting that opportunity to bring that flow. They aren't getting an opportunity to, like you get confident, you get better at something, but now like you can't add anything of your own to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's what people truly want to do. Right. It's like, I want to bring like, whatever, it's real estate.
Yeah.
It can be the most mundane job.
Yeah.
Right. And you're getting better with it and you're building skills and you're gaining more confidence. Phenomenal. Great. Yeah. But now it's like, can I bring this joy?
Yeah.
Can I bring myself? Yeah. Can I interject my personality into this? And I think both are needed.
Absolutely.
Both are needed. Yeah. But if we chase improvement and getting better, right, rather than just chase the emotion behind the job or behind the task, if you chase the ability to get better with something, you'll be able to bring that with you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then they can both meet.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's like you set the structure first and then you can flow. You can flow within that, which I love. So let's kind of shift gears and we'll kind of finish up with this. I always like to ask this question. What book have you read in the last year? We'll even like expand that maybe in the last 3 years. That was one of the most impactful books you've ever read. And what did it teach you about yourself?
That's a great question. Yeah. I've been reading so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading's been, that is like my saving grace.
Yeah.
It's a very simple book. It was Man Up by James Quigley.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking like, I read some like really intricate books, Breathe by Hicks and Gracie. I read the TED Talk book. I've read, all kinds of really intricate stuff.
What value did it bring?
So what I really liked about Bedros' book was the simplicity of it all.
Okay.
I think in life, what we tend to do is we tend to make things harder than they really are. We tend to use jargon. We tend to use language that is way more progressive. Yeah. And the answers are right in front of us. Mm-hmm. So what it did for me was allowed me to see this man who I thought was super successful, because I've been following Pedro since like 2007. Yeah.
And he, remember, he was a fitness guy.
He owns Fit Body Boot Camp, and he's
that's right. Yeah.
And he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah. He does the Modern Night Project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he talked about how unhealthy he was. Yeah. But everyone thought he was healthy. Yeah. All the bad habits that he had. And he talked about how he got out of them. And he gave you really simple things to do. Right. Whereas I've read some really intricate books that are very high level. Yeah. And this was like, step one, here's why I did this. Yeah. Here's why I did that. And it gave me permission to meet myself where I was. Yeah. That's what I felt. That's what a good book does. Yeah. A good book brings you where you are, and it allows you to see whatever influence you're in, to kind of see it in yourself. Yeah. And I saw his moments in my story. Yeah. That he's an immigrant. Although I'm not immigrant, I understand that, my family immigrated here. Yeah. Right. So European and Puerto Ricans. And so I can see that part of the story, right? Where, a lot of my family didn't speak English. Yeah. There's moments of growing up with nothing. Yeah. There's moments of sexual traumas that he shared, right? And that allowed me to come to grips with my sexual traumas and to see like this man that I thought was this masculine, successful man. And here he is putting it on the table that he was sexually abused. Yeah. And so that was the first time in my life, in my adult life, where I was like, so was I.
That is healing.
And I need to talk about this, and I need to explore this, because I didn't remember a lot of the traumas that I did have. And so that book, you know, if you read it, you're probably like, oh, it's so basic. But it was the content that was in it allowed me to see myself.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to give myself permission to meet myself where I was at and to be honest.
I love that. And I think...
Shout out to Bedros.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most healing things we can do. And I think if you're listening to this and you're thinking about starting a business or a podcast or writing a book or doing something, do it, because you have no idea how your story can be healing for another person. Because what it does is it gives the other person permission to see themselves and to know that they're not alone in something, maybe like a sexual trauma. For me, I had a financial trauma, and I thought, you know, who am I to be upset about this? Right. You know, almost like beating myself up about this pretty profound moment in my life. And I thought I couldn't open up about that because I thought I was being greedy. I thought I was being, you know, like, that money is, you know, bad.
Yeah, this
right?
money story.
You know, like the money story. And and so I was privileged. And that actually all that kind of came out about the same time. And that my suffering was sort of like, not that it wasn't necessary, but
you were invalidating your experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. And so because I was a white male, middle-class male, educated, I was privileged, and that I couldn't open up about my suffering. And that really hit me even harder. And so that's when I was like, well, where can I go? I can just go to my own men. And that's what led me into men's work and and that's what I realized. Oh, men's work is so healing because I can recognize myself in the stories of others and I can hold space for them. And that's where I really started to heal. And I didn't recognize that in the beginning, but it was like I kept showing up to the groups and to the circles and to the meetings. And it was just, I see that. Oh, I see that. And that has led me into even deeper work and all these things. But I love that. That's a great point to, you know, a good book gives us awareness about who we are, gives us permission to be okay with who we are, and then gives us just not even 2 steps. It could just be 1 step to move through that. And I think that's why memoirs are so powerful. And
I love biographies.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah.
Love them. I mean, you know, I get into them.
Yeah.
I love seeing other people's stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to get that book. So, man, this has been such an incredible journey, just even in this 90 minutes. So talk to me about what you got going on in the new year. How can people find you?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm no longer taking on coaching clients.
Okay.
There's other great people that are out there that are doing some tremendous work. Right now, I find myself working a little bit more business development.
Okay.
Kind of evolving the practice and helping brands and doing what I do best. So again, staying into your strengths.
Yeah.
And I like fast-paced work environments. I'm a great connector.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, that's what I do really well. So I need to start doing that.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing now is connecting great brands with one another, connecting them to other resources that they may need.
I like that. What brands, like if there's an industry or, you know, specific?
So right now, one of the brands I'm working with is H Factor Water.
Okay.
So they're in all the brands are in the fitness industry.
Okay. Brands in the fitness industry.
Yeah, it's brands in the fitness or want to break into the fitness market.
Yep.
Right. Because it's such a niche market, especially the CrossFit space. And so because of my extensive history with events and working in the gym space, you know, I can provide a unique, you know, experience for these guys.
Love that.
So that's where I'm working at now. I'm also still doing live action announcing. I love that. It's so much fun. I get to travel. I get to call action. It's super fun. I get to connect with so many awesome people. And in Austin, it's just, you know, being here and connecting with people and having a good time. So they can find me. Instagram is probably the best place. James P. Quigley on Instagram would probably be the best place to connect with me.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Any last words you want to share with people?
Yes. Don't tie yourself into anything that's external for your identity. Like you are you. You know, it can be it's very easy to evolve yourself and to find these things that you get passionate about or you get better with. And then that can be the next thing that becomes a part of your identity.
Yeah.
But what happens if it's stripped away again? What happens when you got to evolve again?
Yeah.
Right. So your identity is you. You're not a job title. You're not a career. You're not your hobbies. You're not these things that you like to do. You're a human and you're you. Own that power.
I love that. And I mean, that's really what the whole underlying factor for the unbreakable self is. Yeah. It's recognizing that if you are holding on to an identity, then you can be broken. And in fact, we actually need to be broken sometimes to let the light that is our unbreakable self, the higher part of ourselves, shine through and allow us to step into a more fullness. I love that.
So brother.
Good.
I love it.
Man, been incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
I love it. And I love you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next show.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you found this episode valuable, then go ahead and leave a 5-star review explaining how this podcast has helped you so more people can find it. If you want to be a part of the Brotherhood, then click the link in the description below. You can also check out the Unbreakable Man experience if you're ready to face a deeper challenge and change your life for the better in just 3 days. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening. I appreciate you. And as always, stay unbreakable.